Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 2004 here in TEW 2020, and it's time for the big pay-per-view, Bash at the Beach 2004 from New Orleans, Louisiana, as you can see on the screen now, as we're in front of a sold-out crowd of 19,000 at the New Orleans Arena right across the street from the Superdome, but let's get rolling with the actual show. So we start out with our opening video, which is basically, just from the top here, focusing, of course, on the big world title match between Booker T and Rob Van Dam, the big six-man elimination match between the Horsemen and the Chosen Few, Shauna Hair versus Mesias in a Death and Darkness match, and the debut of Tricia Skye here in WCW, and this gets an 85 as we move forward to our opening match. And that opening match is between Tajiri, the United States champion, and Keenan Sharpe in an I Quit match, and basically, this is what you would, this is just an absolute, battle right from the start. Sharpe tenses, his Muay Thai kicking, suplexes, stiff kicks, lots of holds, trying to keep Tajiri down. Tajiri fights back with his own strikes, his own throws. Eventually, this becomes more of a brawl to the outside, as both men just beat the crap out of each other. Tajiri goes for the brainbuster on the outside, but Sharpe gets out of it, and then hits a low blow. He throws Tajiri back in and just tries to drill him with stiff elbow shots over and over to try to get the I Quit. But eventually Tajiri does get out of it. He fights back his own. He hits the mist, hits the big buzzsaw kick, but you can't win this match by pinfall. You have to make the other man tap out. And eventually Tajiri does try to lock on a version of a Scorpion Deathlock right in the middle of the ring, but Sharpe is able to battle out of it. Eventually Sharpe gets his own, after a couple big moves, big lariat, locks on a key lock right in the middle of the ring, but eventually Tajiri does fight out of that as well. But what happens is, at the end of the match, Sharpe hits a big variety of suplexes and slams, but actually goes up the top rope and tries for a sort of knee drop off the top rope, but he actually drills it, but he's unable to lock in his arm lock submission as Tajiri just continues to fight and kick out of it, and eventually Tajiri hits the big miss spot on Sharpe as he tries to get up. Blinded, Tajiri drills him with the buzzsaw kick, then another one, and then he grabs Sharpe up, puts him in the tarantula on the ropes, and with nowhere to go, Sharpe eventually has to say, "I quit." And so overall, to get to the actual match here. So, in about that good wrestling and decent reaction from the crowd, Tajiri defeats Keenan Sharpe in 15:06 by submission, as Tajiri makes defense number 1 of his US title. This gets an 80. Tajiri gets a 78. Keenan Sharpe gets a 71. And a big win for Tajiri as he celebrates afterward to a 73. Next up is the only match I don't have a graphic for, basically because there's not a lot of good pictures for Tony Kozina out there on the internet that I could use in the graphic, so we'll just move forward to the actual match. But, it's high spots, quick, intense, high pressure right from the start. Kozina does a few, hits a quick dive, Topoka Hilo, then tries to move Skipper in, but Skipper fights back immediately, hitting a side salto kick, super kick of his own, some springboards, goes for the play of the day, but Kozina gets out of it. Kozina hits a few big suplexes, hits a springboard senton for a near fall, but Skipper eventually is able to hit Kozina with a chop block, work on his knees for a little bit. Eventually, Skipper goes for the play of the day again, but Kozina gets out of it himself. He hits a quick kick to the gut, hits a quick power bomb for another version of power bomb right in the middle of the ring. Goes up top, goes for the 450. Nobody there. Skipper fights back, goes for the overdrive, goes for the play of the day, hits it, but he's too close to the ropes. Kozina, he goes for another one, but Kozina fights back, hits a backbreaker, goes up top for the Skye Twister press. Skipper gets his knees up, and then hits the play of the day for the pinfall victory. Overdrive. Unfortunately, these guys, this was not the best. So here's a problem, is our Cruiserweight division is not over at all, and there's not a ton of guys out there I can really sign to sort of feed them, so I sort of figure out how to get these guys actually over on TV. Which, this is what happens when all your Cruiserweights get too popular, move on to actual, main event or mid-card things. But just gotta rebuild this up, But anyway, in about that decent wrestling, doesn't have much heat. Skipper defeats Tony Kozina in 10-12 by pinfall the overdrive. Skipper makes defense number 2 of his Cruiserweight title. Skipper gets a 56. Kozina gets a 55. They actually have great chemistry, which is good. But the match itself gets a 49, as these guys are both considered, pre-show workers, unfortunately. And then afterwards, Skipper celebrates to a heel pop, but he got the big clean win and his second defense here on pay-per-view. And now it's on to our next match. Next big match is between Paul London and Monty Brown. And what happens here is Paul London really does try his best, as he knows the only way he has a chance at beating Monty Brown, who's been undefeated so far here in World Championship Wrestling, just goes straight after him with quick, almost desperate attacks right from the top. So as Monty Brown is coming down the ring with Stevie Ray, Paul London goes up the top rope and hits him immediately with a shooting star press to the outside. Huge pop from that right from the start, and London just continues the attack. He dives off the guardrails on the Brown, and only takes a moment to roll him inside, but he goes up right to the top again, hits a dropkick from the top rope, hits a quick springboard aside moonsault, but Monty Brown kicks out strongly at 2.5. But London, hits some quick strikes and tries to play, sing like foot like a butterfly, sting like a bee real quick, but Monty Brown eventually catches London as he goes for another springboard, and things go badly from Paul London from there. As Brown throws him around, Brown hits a big suplex, big lariat, and eventually he falls to the pounce. Boom, right clean right in the middle of the ring, as Monty Brown gets the big 1, 2, 3 right in the middle of the ring. As any good match, Monty Brown defeats Paul London in 6:56 by pinfall with the pounce, as this gets a 70. Monty gets a 79. Yeah, he's ready, brother. As Paul London gets a 74. And like I said, overall match gets a 70. And post-match, Monty and Stevie Ray celebrate to the boos of the crowd, even though there's some cheers mixed in there. As this gets a 70, as Brown has been dominant so far, and of course people love seeing, somebody, a guy just beat up fools. Time for our next big singles match, as it's time for Jeff Hardy to get his chance at revenge against Billy Kidman. Of course, this feud has been going on for the past couple weeks, as Hardy and Ray teamed up to take on Kidman and Storm, and there's been feuds going from there. As of course, at the start of the month, the whole of the Triumvirate attacked, both Hardy and Ray Jr., and Hardy's been out for revenge since then. And this is a, back and forth fun match. But unfortunately, these guys seem to not click, which is, a downside, but they still do their best to fight each other. Kidman does his sort of US Pro style and some heel work. He gets to be the cocky bastard that he has been for basically the past year or so here in WCW. Hit some suplexes, slams, slowing down the match, but Hardy fights back. He hits the Whisper in the Wind, hits a Twist of Fate, but, Kidman rolls out. April Hunter distracts the ref, which allows Kidman to go low, hit a quick, sort of DDT, go for the Kid Crusher, but Hardy fights out of it, reverses himself, goes for a bridge, but then, Hardy goes on offense, punch it to the outside, brawl out there. April Hunter tries to get involved again, but Hardy pushes her aside, but that gives Kidman just enough time to come back with an attack of his own. Kidman rolls Hardy back inside, goes up top for the first time in a while, but doesn't hit the shooting star press. Instead, hits a big elbow drop to Hardy on his back, and then Kidman goes for the Kid Crusher again. But again, Hardy fights out of it. Hardy goes for the Whisper in the Wind one more time, and then hits the big not the shooting star press, hits the big Twist of Fate. Hardy goes up top for the Swanton Bomb. But April Hunter gets involved. Hardy, April Hunter gets on the ring apron, and as Billy Kidman as Billy Kidman pulls the ref over as he's acting like he's hurt. April Hunter pushes Hardy, shakes April Hunter shakes the ropes just enough for Hardy to be unstable, fall off the top. As she gets back down, Kidman comes in, quick kick crusher, 1, 2, 3 as he gets the pinfall victory, just with help from April Hunter. And yeah, as you can see, in about that great heat and good wrestling, Billy Kidman defeats Jeff Hardy in 14:04. This gets a 79 overall, so not a terrible match. But honestly, if these guys would actually clicked, probably could have been like an 83 or an 84. As Jeff Hardy gets an 82, Billy Kidman gets a 71. Billy Kidman was also off his game, and the match got the crowd buzzing, which is good. And post-match, Kidman, Storm, and April Hunter all celebrate to the boos of the crowd to a 68. And now it's time for the big debut of Tricia Skye here in World Championship Wrestling, as she comes out with Nattie Neidhart as they take down Angel Foxx and Lexi James. And, pretty standard match to start out with. Nattie and Neidhart get some basic offense in. Lexi and Angel do some heel cheating. Back and forth match. Tricia eventually gets tagged in. Gets to be a babyface House of Fire. Hits probably a few big moves. Probably is able to I'm sure they work out some sort of complicated move that they would not be able to do in WWE. Sort of as a take that to the Fed. Maybe some sort of reversal of a double, maybe a quasi superplex spot where James and Foxx actually hit a big double superplex on Tricia. But Tricia eventually goes for the gets the babyface comeback and hits a few big moves, and it looks like she's going to actually hit the renamed Satisfaction, which is now the Sky's the Limit. But as she's about to go for it, the ref is distracted by Angel Foxx on the outside, and what happens is basically, as that's happening, somebody jumps the ring apron, and because Tricia isn't aware of this happening, as Tricia is going for the move, somebody runs up, who looks like they have reddish hair, and this is sort of the same spot as before, which is not the best booking, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. As Tricia is hitting the Satisfaction, the woman just basically hits Tricia as she's coming off the top, hitting the move off the top, and that sends Tricia splattering to the outside as the crowd finally pops as they realize it is debuting Lizzie Dumas, also better known as Lita, with Tricia on the outside. The heels, Lexi James brings Nattie in, who's distracted, hits a quick Lexi DDT, and gets the 1, 2, 3 after the ref turns back around to the boos of the crowd, as Lizzie Dumas makes her debut here in WCW, joining Tricia Skye. Yeah, WCW I did outbid them, but also their women's division is basically barren at this point. But a huge win for the heels with the help of Lizzie Dumas. As you can see, in a decent match, Lexi James and Angel Foxx defeats Nattie and Neidhart and Tricia Skye in 9:54 when Lexi pins Nattie. Tricia Skye gets a 78, Nattie Neidhart gets a 36, Angel gets a 56, and Lexi James gets a 57. And you can see right there why I signed up Tricia. So her Lizzie Dumas' trashy rock gimmick got an adequate, so not too bad or not too good. And post-match, the heels celebrate together, which gets a 62. Fun times. And now it's time for a big feud as Chuck Palumbo takes on Morningstar. And this is just a battle from the absolute start. Morningstar does use heel tactics and is, high flying to try to get advantage, but Palumbo is always seemingly ready for it. A quick power slam, brawling, a big lariat, another big suplex. Morningstar eventually gets some sort of advantage and hits his sort of double springboard moonsault, but that only gets a near fall. And then when he goes for the angel wings, Palumbo powers out of it and goes back right on the attack. Palumbo eventually, throws Morningstar to the outside. Morningstar gets a chair and wallops Palumbo in the stomach with it. While the ref isn't looking close enough, Palumbo, then throws Palumbo over the ring announcer's table, and a few kicks near the guardrail, then goes back on the attack on the inside, goes up top, hits a diving headbutt, locks in a submission, but Palumbo powers out of it. Then Palumbo goes back on the attack, but Morningstar hits him in the knee, goes for a quick hits the last rights, then tries to pick him up for the angel wings, but Palumbo blocks that, powers out of that again, and then as both men get up, Palumbo is able to just grab Morningstar and hit the full throttle, which is sort of I think it's a modified slam, modified sort of I think it's a modified angle slam. I'll have to double check that, but hits it and hits the 1, 2, 3 right in the middle of the ring, not really out of nowhere, but just grabs him and finishes it off as a big win for Chuck Palumbo here at Bash at the Beach. And as you can see, Chuck Palumbo defeats Morningstar in a bout type Pro Wrestling Great Heat. This gets an 84, Palumbo gets an 86, Morningstar gets an 88, and really good match as Palumbo celebrates to a 73 to the cheers of the crowd. So this big win for Palumbo can Shauna Hair pull off the same thing later in the Death and Darkness match? We'll just have to see. Now it's time for a big blow off to a feud that's been basically on the middle upper mid card for the past couple months. Of course, it goes all back to when Jamie Noble pinned Eddie Guerrero, who hasn't been seen in the past couple months, which led to a feud with Wright and Chavo. They've been fighting. They were both in the big three-way tag title match last month, and now it seems they're finally ready to battle each other once and for all. And this is a really good back and forth match. Ebony Sable even does his best in the ring. But basically what happens is Wright and Chavo start off a big old house of fire, but eventually Ebony Sable gets tagged in and uses some power moves to throw him around. Noble then does his technical stuff. Wright fights back. Is able to hit a big DDT on Noble and does his own technical work on Noble, and it's eventually middle of the match is just these two trading holds, trading submissions, but eventually Wright gets the advantage. And it looks like Wright and Chavo are going to take the advantage and actually get the win. But Ebony Sable makes a big save, eventually breaks down to a four-way brawl, and it looks like Noble has the advantage as he locks in the trailer hitch on Chavo, but Wright is able to basically do the whole running bull thing on Ebony Sable, then get in the ring and break up the submission. But then Ebony Sable comes back in after recovering, and that allows, it looks like Jamie Noble, after hitting a brainbuster of his own on Chavo, looks like it's going to get the pinfall, but then a huge crowd pop as out of nowhere Eddie Guerrero comes out from the back as the ref is trying to get hold of Ebony Sable and Wright and just drill Jamie Noble with a chair shot as Chavo is slowly trying to get up. Eddie rolls to the outside. Chavo gets up, goes up top, frog splash, 1, 2, 3. Eddie Guerrero has returned and helped his nephew and Alex Wright get a huge pinfall victory over the man that made him leave WCW for the past couple months. And yeah, as you can see, in a decent match, Wright and Chavo defeats Jamie Noble and Ebony Sable in 12:42 when Chavo Guerrero pins Jamie Noble following interference from Eddie Guerrero. This gets a 75. Chavo gets a 64. Alex Wright gets a 74. Ebony Sable gets a 34. Still gotta build them up. Jamie Noble gets a 78. And yeah, both men have excellent chemistry together. And then for the post match, Alex, Eddie, and Chavo all celebrate. This gets 74. But it seems Alex is not completely happy with things as he sort of stands off the side, after kind of realizing what happened, especially when he sees the Duncan chair at ringside. But eventually, he eventually raises his hands with Eddie and Chavo as we move on to our next match. As next up, in a match that I don't want to say it's been forgotten about or overshadowed, but sort of been a sort of lower key women's world title match, as Nikita Kalt gets her rematch against Gail Kim, and this is actually a pretty good match. I think honestly our best women's match ever, looking at the writing that you guys can't see yet. I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure. But good solid work. Nikita Kalt gets her submission in, but Kim fights back with some high flying and some solid back and forth battle. Eventually, Nikita Kalt goes for the, I forgot her finisher name. Anyway, she tries to really lock in submission, but Gail Kim just refuses to tap out and eventually drags herself over the pace of a couple minutes over to the ring ropes and barely gets a finger on the bottom ring rope. Nikki Hall is upset at the referee. Gail Kim is able to hit sort of attack from behind to get the advantage back, and eventually go up top, hit the E defeat, and get the 1, 2, 3 to pick up defense number 2 of her Women's World Championship. And as you can see, in a decent match, Gail Kim defeats Nikita Kalt in 9:34 by pinfall to E defeat. This gets a 72, which again, I'm pretty sure this is my best women's match ever. As Nikita Kalt gets a 67, Gail Kim gets a 60, and post-match, Gail Kim celebrates to a 73. And so, honestly, despite, like I said, I even admit I sort of just threw this match together and then sort of just did the minimum while I focused on the big women's tag match. But yeah, big win for Gail Kim as she makes a defense. As we have lots of rising new stars in the women's division, and of course, big stars coming over from the other place. But it's now time for the tag title match. And yeah, if you notice in the picture there, I only had AJ Styles and Kid Cash. That wasn't any like thing against Reno or Paris. It's just really hard to find pictures of them online that I can work with. So just got to go with these two. Anyway, this is a really good match as Air Raid teaming back up together after a couple months off as AJ Styles and Eric Paris out and do their own thing, but they're ready to be a big house of fire right from the start. And they have really good teaming together, lots of high flying moves, lots of double teams. AJ hits the big Fosbury flop and then moonsault DDT. Eric Paris gets his own high flying moves in right early on. It looks like they're just going to roll to their 5th tag team title reign. But eventually, Reno gets in, does some power stuff. Cash is able to hit some few cheap shots and do his own like bully weight style of suplexes and slams, especially on Air Paris. AJ, gets the hot tag, but he's able to hit the big forearm and go for the style class, but Reno comes in and just boots him right in the face. That brings Air Paris in, but Reno versus Air Paris is not going to end well for Air Paris as Reno throws him out to the outside, and Reno and Cash just work double team AJ Styles for a couple minutes, and it looks like Reno hits his roll of the dice. I think that's his finisher. And Cash goes for the his like cradle pile driver type of thing. I think it's I forget what it's called, but AJ is able to kick out right at like almost 3, do a big pop. Air Paris eventually gets back up to the ring apron, and but looks like Cash is going to go for another finisher, but AJ fights back. AJ hits a few big moves to get the advantage back. But Air Paris reaches out for a tag, but AJ shakes his head and goes up top, spiral tap, hits it. Reno breaks it up. AJ comes in. Air Paris comes in, and in 4-way brawl, Reno, Air Paris actually shocks and is able to knock Reno out of the ring, through the ropes, and he goes after Kid Cash, but Kid Cash gets out of the way at the last second, and Air Paris just drills AJ with a basically a sort of like diving lariat. AJ is down. Cash sends Air Paris to the outside, grabs AJ, another dead level right in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Silver City Rollers retain the tag team titles once again. And so in a bout that had good wrestling and decent rounds from the crowd, the Silver City Rollers make defense number 4 of their tag team titles, defeating Air Raid in 1443. When Cash pinned AJ Styles after miscommunication. Exodus gets an 83, Reno gets a 73, Cash gets a 77, AJ Styles gets a friggin' 91, Air Paris gets a 67, and 83 overall. And post match, of course the heels celebrate, holding their tag titles up as the announcers really put over, what a solid, big run they've been on the past few months. And of course, Air Paris, gets back in the ring, tries to explain things to AJ. AJ, is upset, but Paris really tries to explain things, but AJ eventually just walks away as it gets a 68. And now moving on to our big sort of 3 matches, 2 of them in building for basically most of this year, and our big world title match. So time to get to those. Now it's time for the Elimination Rules match between the Horsemen, of course, Ric Flair, Kanyon, and Malenko, who made his return to WCW last week and won the television title against the chosen few of Jeff Jarrett, Mark Jindrak, and simply Devine. So what happens here is, eventually, match, of course, is a heated brawl right from the start, but early on, what happens is Malenko, basically simply Devine drills Malenko from behind. That allows Jindrak to hit his finisher, which I'm blanking on the name off the top of my head, hits it, and 1, 2, 3, big pinfall victory, knocking Dean Link out of the match and putting babyfaces at a 2-3 disadvantage. Devine comes in all cocky, but honestly, Kanyon just sort of runs him over pretty quickly and hits the Canyon Cutter, 1, 2, 3, and we're down 2-2. So now we're down to the tag match, and the fight continues, and Jarrett goes after Flair and locks in the figure 4. Of course, Keenan comes in to break it up, but Jindrak, comes in and the brawl is on. Eventually, Flair does get to the ropes. Jarrett goes after, then goes to help Jindrak Kanyon. That allows Flair to do a crazy old man Flair brawling a little bit with both men. And eventually, the match gets back inside after the ref tries to get control, and sort of not really out of nowhere, but just like with Kanyon distracted, Jarrett is able to drill Flair with the stroke right in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Now Kanyon is all on his own. But, Kanyon is a former world champion and one of the best wrestlers on the roster, so he does his best and he just, battles back against both men, and he's able to knock Jarrett to the outside and a big dive on Jarrett to sort of knock him against the guardrail. He goes after Jindrak, and Jindrak gets cocky and chases after him, but boom, Canyon Cutter out of nowhere, and then he pulls him up, hits the, oh god, I'm blanking on his name. The SEO. Oh god, why did I forget his finisher name right now? I've said it a million times on here. You know what it is, the modified STO thing. What? Man, now I can't believe I forgot the actual name of his finisher. Canyon finisher. Okay, anyway, he hits it. 1, 2, 3. But then, Canyon gets up. But unfortunately, Jarrett is ready for him. And he sort of fed Jindrak to the wolves. And Jarrett drills him with a stroke. 1, 2, 3. Chosen few have gotten the big victory, and perhaps the final victory over the Horsemen. So, pretty sure I didn't. Okay, now I'm not sure what got. Because I hit pause to change something here, and I'm not sure if it got voted or not. Anyway, so I hope I'm sure the explanation of the match went through, but basically, for the actual TEW side, it was an 84, and just it was a good match. And then, as you can see here, they celebrated afterward to a 71. Sorry about that. Flair got a 78, Kenny got a 92, Jarrett got an 89, and I forget the other guys, but there you go. Anyway, sorry about that. On to the next actual match, our semi-main event, as it's Shauna Hair versus Mesias. So let's get to that. But first, before we have the Death and Darkness match, we have O'Hare and Mesias in the locked room, as they both get in the locked room, and then we sort of go to a quasi really clear security camera view, and after they both can, for 5 and 6 minutes, they just beat the crap out of each other, throw each other against supposed concrete walls, battle each other, punch each other. But of course, the rule is you have to knock the man down for at least 10 seconds in order to move on to the actual match. Now, I didn't say that before, maybe because I just thought that up. So the ref's also there, also stuck in the locker room, and it looks like, O'Hare is able to hit a few big moves, a few strong strikes, and then a big sort of quasi roundhouse kick to knock Mesias down. Mesias gets up, and then he just pops up and just drills O'Hare with a lariat, brings him, and then a huge choke slam on the cold, forgiving hard concrete. And at that, O'Hare is actually down for the count as we move on to the actual match. I'm not going to show this just because it would take too long. Basically, that which was I put as an angle with O'Hare on fighting and Mesias on Menace is an 85. Then we go to the actual match, which Mesias drags O'Hare into the ring. And again, remember, it's a 4-way. It's the ring, but it's on one side is tables. On your hand is barbed wire boards. On your hand is tables, barbed wire boards. Then glass. Well, not glass, but glass tables. And then thumbtacks and other weapons. So then it's on for the final battle. But O'Hare, as we're getting close to the ring, gets back, to consciousness and begins to fight back. And the match spills into the ring as they just begin to just kick and battle, hit the crap out of each other. The first big spot is O'Hare throwing Mesias through a table on the outside, and then, going to the outside and going for the brawl, but that gets the match over to the first big spot, as O'Hare Mesias backdrops O'Hare on the thumbtacks to a big pop. O'Hare, sort of tries to roll out of it, and gets some more on him, but then, he fights back a little bit, but O'Hare throws him, Mesias then tries for the chokeslam on thumbtacks, but O'Haire fights out of it with some headbutts and strikes, and hits a big suplex on thumbtacks on Mesias. Now, with both men having thumbtacks, it's time for the brawl back to go back in the ring. Big strikes in the ring. This is just punches, kicks, big strikes, maybe a suplex or two in the ring. But eventually, the battle spills out to the ring apron. They're fighting, but eventually O'Haire gets the advantage, picks up Mesias, side suplex into the pile of barbed wire boards to a big pop. Both men are now bleeding. Both men are now have barbed wire wrapped on them, and referees come over to sort of get them disentangled. They again fight back. Mesias gets untangled first, so of course he goes right after O'Haire. O'Haire has to fight back himself with a big headbutt and hits a big lariat with some barbed wire still around his arm before the ref takes it off on the outside. Back in the ring with nowhere to go, O'Haire goes for the Widowmaker, but Mesias gets out of it and then picks up him and tosses him through the glass table at ringside. Huge pop as referees immediately try to come over and get the glass off of him. O'Haire's bleeding a little more, and it looks like Mesias is going for the kill, and he picks him up, chokeslam in the ring, goes for the Mesias goes for his big crucifix powerbomb, but O'Haire gets out of it, hits the huge lariat, then picks up Mesias, hits him with the Widowmaker, but he doesn't go for the pinfall. Instead, he goes outside, gets one of the tables, sets it up in the ring, and then he goes back into the ring and pulls out a lighter and some lighter fluid. He douses the table with some lighter fluid, puts it on fire. Mesias gets up, big boot, knocks him silly, grabs him, Widowmaker, through the flaming table. 1, 2, 3. So, as you can imagine, I didn't put all that in the actual match. I put as much as I could while getting on the air, and the rest is, just sort of twisting a little. Because in reality, by 2000, this is almost the era of the Shane, or is this the era? I think this is like a year or two after the era of the insane Shane Kurt Angle match. But yeah, huge victory for Shauna Hair. As you can see, an exceptional match. Shauna Hair defeats Mesias in a 1-on-1 Death of Darkness match in 1428 by pinfall with the Widowmaker. This gets an 88. Shauna Hair gets an 85. Mesias gets an 88. Fell apart a little bit to the lack of psychology. This is just two huge guys killing each other for basically 14 minutes plus 5 or 6 minutes in the locked door. And then Hair is just exhausted. Mesias is out, but he refuses any attention. But eventually, O'Haire gets carted out, not whole neck brace and everything, but the refs come down and they get him on a stretcher. O'Haire raises his fist to the crowd to the cheers as this gets a 69. So big win for O'Haire, and now it's time for our main event. Okay, time for the actual match, or not the actual main event. As first, Booker comes out, RVD comes out to a giant face pop. Booker gets a giant heel pop coming out Sharmell. That gets a 99, and it's time for the match itself. I hope I didn't say that twice, but if you did, oh well. Again, first time I'm doing this with graphics just because I felt the need to. As far as that goes, I'm probably not going to do it for the next pay-per-view, maybe, but I'm going to try to do it for Fall Brawl. Fall Brawl or Halloween Havoc. Maybe not for Mayhem because there's matches that aren't there's not all the big matches, and then actually, of course, for Stargate, because I actually enjoy doing it, and it gets, I think, people a little more into the actual show. Anyway, time for our main event. So it's a battle right from the start, a little more of a fight, some more spots. Booker, RVD, of course, is a house of fire right at the start, hitting big moves, big dives, hitting the Rolling Thunder, hitting split leg moonsault, hitting some suplexes, getting some educated kicks in, but is unable to get the Van Dam leader as refs stop it from bringing in the chair. That allows Booker to come back over, and he slows things down. Works on RVD's knees and his back, hits a big suplex, hits some other big side suplex, hits a spine buster, really works him out. RVD fights back though. He's able to hit a Booker, RVD goes up top. Booker hits him in the gut, goes up top, and it's a big superplex on Rob Van Dam. Hits Booker, then does a spin Rooney to a mixed pop. He goes for the axe kick. RVD gets out of the way. RVD hits a sort of sides, spinning leg of his own. Hits a few more educated kicks. Goes up top. Hits a senton hits a moonsault on Booker T. Booker T gets his foot on the ropes at 2.5. RVD Sharmell, gets involved, gets on ring apron to complain, but allows RVD to go for the Van Dam, but Booker T is ready for it, and Van Dam actually hits it. RVD goes up top, hits the 5-star frog splash. 1, 2, 3. No, Booker kicks out right at the last moment. So RVD, basically pulls him up again, hits the backbreaker, goes up top for the 5-star frog splash, but then Sharmell gets on the ring apron. Booker T, sort of basically, tries to ignore, but allows Booker T just enough time to kick him and knock him off the top rope. He goes for the bookend. Rob Van Dam fights out of it. Then there's a ref pump. RVD goes for the Van Dam, but Booker is ready for him and actually drills him, ducks under it, drills RVD with the chair shot, and then hits the bookend on the chair. 1, 2, kick out by Rob Van Dam at the last possible second. Rob Van Dam, Booker T goes for the big spine buster, and then goes for the axe kick again, but RVD gets out of the way. RVD hits takes Booker T down, hits the Rolling Thunder, goes up top for the 5-star frog splash. Say that 3 times fast. Knees. All knees. Booker slowly gets up. Axe kick. Bookend. 1, 2, 3. Another victory for the World Heavyweight Champion. That says there, an exceptional match. Booker T defeats Rob Van Dam in 23:02, but by pinfall at the bookend. This gets a 90. Booker gets an 87. Rob Van Dam gets a 93. So unfortunately, what happened here is these guys don't quite have the psychology to do this match for this long. And also, I think Rob Van Dam was at like a 77, Booker's a 76. I tried to let him call it in the ring, but unfortunately, not quite good enough. I think that was it. Yeah, just psychology. So probably would have done like a 90. I mean, honestly, they had the best match ever in this so far. So, kind of disappointing, but my own fault. Try to take a risk. Sometimes you gotta do that. And overall, the show itself gets... Oh, and then Booker T celebrates with Sharmell to end the show to 78. And overall, this gets a 93. So still a really good show. So, what match did better than I thought it would? Honestly, Keenan Sharpe. Oh, shit. Nikita Kalt, because you're sort of going down to the undercard of the women's division for a while, but... And just because you've been having good matches all this time, Booker T. Hey, Tommy Young, he's retired. So yeah, I'll just see if anything pops up as far as news, and we'll sort of go over where things are as we head on to our next big pay-per-view in August, which, it's actually going to be a international pay-per-view. I'm not quite sure on the name because I have to find a good graphic to use and other fun stuff, but yeah. So, fantastic reviews. Let's see here, any email. Okay, direct test fees. Skye 1 deals remaining. Okay, have to reuse that. Mesias, thanks to Chavo doesn't connect. That's mean. But yeah, okay, solid stuff. Of course, I'll go over the results of everything with you guys on the next show. But let's just do a quick thing. So, top 100s, anything. So that was our 6th best show ever. And match-wise, nothing really in the top 10, right? Yeah, nothing even close. Yeah, season the Booker of RVD was 99 before, which, I mean, that's my own damn fault. But still, not a terrible match. So creative-wise, number one, franchise players, number 1 is still Bill Goldberg. Number 2 is Rob Van Dam. 3 is Jeff Hardy, surprisingly. Hager is number 4, and Kanyon is number 5. Next big things, Angel Foxx, Tricia, Skye, Jordan Cole, AJ Styles, Paul London. Hot prospects, Angel Foxx, Teddy Hart, Jordan Cole, Keenan Sharpe, Lizzie Dumas. Talk the Talk, Kanyon, Ric Flair, Booker, Jones, and Jeff Jarrett. Showstoppers, who do you expect? Ring Generals, who do you expect? Who's not? Jarrett, RVD, Mesias, AJ Styles, Morningstar. So Morningstar's lost it, or too bad. And there you go. If I just want to do some quick checks of some people's and how their wins or losses affected them. So Kidman, let's see here. Okay, so Kidman's about where he is. How did this do for Booker? Okay, so Booker's now, yeah, Booker's really over, but has been. How about Palumbo? Okay, solid, nothing huge, but still big. How did this tanks Hardy's popularity? Survey says, kinda. I mean, yeah, but I can build him back up. Jarrett. Okay, Jarrett, yeah, Jarrett is stupid, like, a lot over than you think by the way I book him. Kanyon, thankfully did not get really hurt by that. Mesias. Yeah, Mesias kind of got hurt by that a little bit, but, he can easily be rebuilt. Monty Brown is now a main eventer, which is, yeah. See, this is what happens when you push somebody as a top guy and he beats people. He becomes a top guy. Morningstar. Okay. Nope, didn't really hurt by the loss. Van Dam, let's see here. Did you get hurt by losing to Booker T? No, actually. I mean, RB is actually more over now. Shauna Hair. O'Hare shockingly did not get a huge out of that. Kind of worried about Pop Cap at this point. Shane Helms, of course, is still injured. Stars. Okay, AJ. AJ's about the same. Jamie Noble. Noble did not get hurt. Well, Jindrak. Jindrak is where he is since he beat Flair. Tajiri. Tajiri's actually getting really solidly popular, which is good. Always good to have another guy. Let's see here. Let's look at some well-known guys. CF. Okay. Angel Foxx. Okay, actually a solid win. Let's see here. Keenan Sharpe. Did the loss really hurt him? Nope, not really. Paul London. Did that tank his popularity? Nope. Basically the same where he was before. Tricia Skye. Did that loss hurt her much? I don't think so. No. Okay. Cool. And recognizable. Gail Kim. Gail's getting there. Gail's getting there. Anybody else of note on the undercard? Did that win really help Chavo? Not really. Okay, yeah, and well, okay, let's see here. How has Darn Devine been affected by? Okay, I mean he's getting there. And kind of hurts. Yeah, Skipper's unimportant still. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So one last thing before I go, probably not the best I'm doing this at the end of the video as opposed to the beginning of the video, but hey, if you're still at the end of the video here, that means you probably actually like this and actually have been paying attention, so you can actually maybe be a little more of a more informed voter. But anyway, got our Meteor Awards. I'll be, honestly, not enough turnout as in the past, so I'm probably going to put this maybe through August in-game, probably just through at least the end of the month as usual. So we got our Wrestler of the Year, Face of the Year, Heel of the Mid-Year, Moment of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, Women's Wrestler of the Year, all that fun stuff. So, click the link either in the description below, and then, just vote how you wish. But that's it for now. So if you've enjoyed this, go ahead and give a like, comment below on what you're liking and not liking, and of course, subscribe to the channel for plenty of TEW 2020 content either now or in the past. Short term / medium term, I'll probably be trying to get some other content other than WCW, but no promises. This has been solid getting me back in the swing of things. But, that's it for now. So talk to you later, and adios. Have a good one.